All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to an extra SROS video. So I said, you know what? I record so many of my videos with kind of the same backdrop. It's like two different bookshelves. I got like some plaques up there, some books, a basketball, my tidbit ticker that I get asked so many times, where'd you get it from? But I'm like, you know what? If this is going to feel more like a secondary channel, a burner channel, just kind of shooting the shit with you guys about certain topics that I want to talk about, I was like, well, let's change the setup a little bit. So I do kind of have like this chair. I have like another camera that I set up. And the only other spot where I can get kind of like natural light in this like office area that I have is like if the backdrop is the closet in a way, which it's really hard to make that look kind of good at all. So good in general. So I was like, you know what? I have this green screen that I don't really use anymore. I kind of use it for some videos here and there, but yeah, I was like, I'll throw up the green screen here. No idea if I'm going to continue with this going forward. You can let me know if you like this, but it does feel probably different than any of my other like SROS videos or Six Rings of Steel videos or NFL videos. So I just got done watching the Nets Hornets. So I was able to catch a little bit of the fourth quarter last night because there were just so many games going on. Like Pistons Hawks was a great game. Donovan Mitchell kind of took over, or towards the end of the game, the Cavs, like shout out to Jalen Tyson and Naquan Tomlin. And then the night slate was good as well with like Mavericks, Nuggets, Lakers, Suns in a way. Rockets Jazz was good for the most part. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to catch up on Nets Hornets in the morning. Just got done watching that. I don't know, man. I want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets a little bit just because I do wonder if they could look at what's going on in New Orleans. And I want this to work. I want this to work. But if you're saying, can we have the same mindset year in and year out and think it's going to work? So this is a team that just lost to the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, who have not many wins this year. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA. They're playing a lot of rookies out there, and they have one guy that's kind of like their main shot creator in a way, in Michael Porter Jr. Now, you'll get like a occasional Noah Clowney spot up three, or more than late. Noah Clowney's actually been shooting the ball pretty well. You're getting like Nick Claxton drives to the rim a little bit here and there, but it's a lot of like trial and error with Ben Seraf and Yegor Dorman, and honestly Drake Powell and Danny Wolf looked the part against the Hornets last night. But this is a game that the Charlotte Hornets should have won, and I was disappointed leaving this game because I think it was just questionable shot selection in the fourth quarter. I think you're asking still way too much out of Con Knipple, the number 3 overall pick, to really be a guy for you moving forward that's going to win you games when it matters, late in games, as a rookie, 20 games into his career. And the Hornets lose to the Nets. They fall to 6-15 on the season. I didn't expect the Hornets to make the play-in tournament. Now, it's still possible. They're only like a few games out of a play-in tournament spot, but they've had some bad losses this year. So they've lost by 13 to the Nets. They've lost by a decent amount to the Knicks. They lost by 28 to the Knicks. They ended up losing by about 15 to the Clippers. They've lost, who are a bad team this year, right? They lost by 13 to the Bucks in overtime. They've lost by 13 to OKC. They've gotten blown out this year by the Miami Heat by 18, Minnesota by 17, Orlando by 16, and Miami by 27. So it's a lot of bad losses, right? Charlotte, who brings over kind of like a defensive-minded head coach in a way, in Charles Lee, 24th in the NBA in terms of defensive rating, and they're top 20 in offensive rating, which I think is an encouraging sign with still all the young talent that they're playing. And I think that they are building up chemistry and cohesion in a way, and they're a team that invested a lot into a 6th overall pick in Tijon Salon from the 2024 draft, that you still want to give him his touches. You still want to see what he could be at his highest potential in this league, but it's going to come with some bad performances against the Nets, where sometimes he's just losing a defensive assignment. He doesn't know who to pick up in transition, and he's mostly in part a catch and shoot guy who's a below average 3-point shooter in a way. He's got the physical intangibles, but I guess if you're going to play this guy a decent amount every single night, you got to be okay with you losing some games to the Brooklyn Nets. But are we at this point? Is Charlotte a team that, yes, if they get Darren Peterson, Boozer, Debanza, their trajectory can change? But are we supposed to be in those conversations? I would rather the Hornets, I mean, it's a perfect world, they end up with like the 11th pick in the draft. And yes, you can get some Dallas Mavericks luck. You can get some Pelicans luck from like 2019. But I want to see this team take strides going forward. And nothing that I've seen out of LaMelo Ball as the number 1 option right now makes me think of that. I gotta think that LaMelo's ankles are still bothering him a ton, because even when you watch his 3-point shooting, I think it's a little bit more noticeable than it's been in the past, where he's like barely jumping on his threes, like barely whatsoever. And I don't know if that's too much pressure or weight on his ankles that he needs to cut back from, because this guy has like chronic ankle issues already at 24, whatever, how old he is, still incredibly young. And I don't know if that's something that we got to worry about going forward. And LaMelo has yet to have a good game, really, for his standards since that triple-double against the Washington Wizards. I was going to tweet this out last night, but I didn't want people to, like, think that I was dunking on LaMelo because, hey, I really like the Hornets. I want to see the Hornets succeed. I have no reason to dislike this team whatsoever. I did, like, a franchise series with them. Had to be, like, 2K22. And I'm like, I'm all the way in on this team now. Different guys then. It was LaMelo. It was Gordon Hayward. Who else was on this team? It was, who was the other veteran I'm forgetting? PJ Washington was on this team. James Bouknight, Kai Jones. I was getting excited. About some of these young guys here. And a lot of those guys, almost all those guys have really come and gone. Now it's Knipple and Brandon Miller in the mix. But LaMelo's like last game's like, let me read you some of his shooting splits. So he shoots 50% against the Clippers, 14% on threes. He was actually a +4 in that game in which they lost by 15. He was a -22 against the Knicks where he shot 28% from the field and 28% from three. He was a +11 against the Bulls in their 7-point win, but he shot 31% from the field and 30% from three. Then they lose to they win against Toronto in overtime, a game in which he actually, I don't know if he gets benched. Him and Brandon Miller did not play in crunch time, nor did they play in overtime. And that was a lot of like Miles Bridges, Colin Sexton, Con Knipple that won the game. He shot 37% from the field and 16% from three. And then last night against the Nets, he shot 33% from the field. He took 6 threes and he knocked down 2 of them. He did have 14 assists in this game, and I don't think that's really changed. I think he still has great reads out of the pick and roll. I still think he has really good court vision. And I honestly, like, watching that Nets game, I thought the defensive effort was fine. I don't think LaMelo Ball is a Cason Wallace out there. He's not a Drew Holiday. But I actually do think he is engaged defensively. For good or for bad, at least he's giving a shit out there on the floor. I'd rather my star player at least try defensively, even if they're a cone out there, right? So I don't think LaMelo Ball is necessarily a bad player. It's just like, I don't know. I think I'm just so scarred right now what's going on in New Orleans with them being like, you know, we can win with Zion. We can win with Zion. We can win with Zion. And then they never win with Zion. Like, even when they made it to the playoffs in 24 and 22, I think it was 22. Yeah, 22. Like, Zion didn't play in those series because he was hurt. And he did get hurt, like, really late. It was like the play-in tournament in 2024. But I don't know. And, like, even Brandon Miller, he's dealing with, like, the shoulder issues this early into his career. He had, like, the issue last year as well. And I just don't want this to be a reoccurring issue for Charlotte going forward, where it's just, like, our two guys. And I'm sure when Brandon Miller gets extended, I feel like it's going to happen. Your two top-paid guys are not reliable every single night in terms of health, which, yes, it doesn't really come back on them. I mean, it's their bodies. It's kind of unfair to say that, like, oh, you can't stay healthy. I mean, it's not their fault they can't stay healthy. I don't think either one of these guys is out there at the skate park every single night doing ollies off ramps and just, like, not caring about their bodies. No, these guys care a ton about their bodies. It's just kind of the luck of the draw at some points. Maybe it's proper stretching. I don't know at that point when you get, like, into the weeds of everything. But Con Knipple has been the best player on this team. He's looked like a 15-year veteran out of the gate, and I'm not going to ever be too reactionary on Con Knipple because I loved him pre-draft, but I know his ceiling. I know what his ceiling is going to be, but you have to be over the moon right now if you're a Hornets fan watching Con Knipple and what he's been as a shot maker this year, and I don't think he will ever become a bad shooter in this league. It was probably his floor pre-draft, but he might turn into like what Grayson Allen is this year at his worst. And that is a really good player for somebody that went 4th overall. So I wonder when Charlotte thinks about, like, is it ever going to be time to move on from, like, we're going to focus on LaMelo as a development guy or as our main guy. I mean, there was that report from Yahoo, which I don't know if it's true. I mean, Kelly Iko of Yahoo, I think, is like a pretty credible reporter. So LaMelo kind of debunked that. That could just be like a little bit of damage control, but he might have gotten intel from the front office that maybe LaMelo didn't know of, and that's why he shot it down. I don't know. It was really weird when he tweeted out that, like, basically LaMelo wants out. I don't know. I don't even want to think about a LaMelo trade right now because the Hornets, I mean, it's you're selling probably the worst or the lowest of his value. So I don't even want to think about that. I want to see this team go through its trials and errors this year. I like most of their draft picks so far. I think Kalkbrenner looks like he's going to be a good rotational big man in this league. Never going to be, I think, a long-term starter, but somebody that you could trust playing 20 minutes a night as a shot blocker, and just like a guy that's efficient around the rim. Sion James, I think it's going to be, as long as he's knocking down his threes, is going to be a great role player that can give you 15 good minutes every single night. I've already glazed Con Knipple enough throughout this season. Lee McNeely's the one guy I think I'm a little bit indifferent on. He's also been like another catch and shoot guy this year. I think he gets a little bit overmatched defensively. We'll see how his progression comes around. I think it's really comes down to, will he knock down his shots? Is he going to be a 3-point shooter? He was in the first half of the 2025 season for the Huskies last year? Or is he going to be the guy he kind of was in the second half where maybe he was struggling with injuries and confidence with his three-point shot? I think they did a great job getting Colin Sexton for Jusuf Nurkic, and they also got a second rounder out of that. So Colin Sexton is a guy I would actually extend, another guy that isn't the perfect defender in the world, but actually gives a shit, and I think that's what matters here, and he's somebody that wants to play and give 100% effort every single night, and I think at worst, like, that's a good bench guard for you in the future, even if you're overpaying the small market tax on him, because you're probably not going to lure too many free agents to Charlotte with where their roster is right now. I mean, we're watching Antonio Reeves a little bit at this point, who was like a second-round pick out of Kentucky last year, because they're without Grant Williams, who's going to be a good veteran when he comes back. I'm excited. It really sucks he tore his ACL. Like, we'll see if Josh Green provides anything for this team, but to be honest, where they are, I'm more intrigued just giving Khan, Sion, and McNeely all the shots. I think a big thing for them also going forward is the Brandon Miller development, because he, like, I don't know. I was more on Scoot Miller pre-draft, and I just loved Brandon Miller's rookie season. I thought another guy that just gave a shit. There were plenty of clips of him defensively actually trying for a god-awful Hornets team in 2024 defensively, and he was running up and down in transition. It could be a bad pass by somebody, not even his fault, and he is sprinting down the floor. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be the guy here in Charlotte. And now, I don't know. If you're still looking at, like, ceiling, I still think Brandon Miller probably has a higher ceiling than Con Knipple. But I just want to see games. That's all I want to see, is just games with these guys. And Brandon Miller was not good against Toronto. He's been dealing with the shoulder injuries. And is that something that's going to just affect him all year? Does this guy need to get shoulder surgery, which was rumored, and then it got, okay, he's not going to get shoulder surgery. And that's something I maybe worry about a little bit, if that's going to linger long term. And it sucks if he had another season extremely cut short, given how of a mess kind of last year was, where he was overtaxed, I think, at the start, and then suffers the season-ending injury. So Charlotte's in a weird spot. I think it's still very early in the year. I want to see more from this team, obviously, but I would just say, like, if we're going to actually graduate them, not to the Pistons leap of last year, because that's easier said than done, but if we're going to ever graduate the Hornets from the bottom feeders in the East tier, I need to see you beat Brooklyn. I know it was on the road in this one, but I need to see you beat Brooklyn, convincingly beat Indiana right now, who's, I think, better than their record shows. I need you to convincingly beat Washington. I need you to convincingly beat some of these really bad teams in the NBA going forward. So, yeah, that's where kind of I'm at on Charlotte. I do think this front office has made some really good decisions. I think, like I said, they did good in the draft. It feels like Charles Lee could still be a guy for them going forward. I'm sure Hornets fans maybe have a little bit more to say about his rotations. You can let me know in the comments. I didn't really mention, like, Moussa Diabate, but I love him as an athletic big who flies around all over the place. Long-term starter for a good team, I don't know. I don't know if that can happen. But if, like, you could find that one and you have Kalkbrenner and Diabate that you could just rotate in, center injuries are inevitable every year. That's a good thing to have. Miles Bridges, I'll probably know my thoughts on him as well. I just think it's time to move on. It's been a disappointing year for Trey Mann when he's been out there for the Hornets, that's for sure. But yeah, losing by 13 to the Nets, I think, hurt a little bit. Anybody else I didn't mention? Like, KJ Simpson, rotational guy. Pat Connaughton, just a veteran in the locker room. It's just like, Tijan Salon was the 6th overall pick. Donovan Clingan could be on. It's crazy, too, because the 2024 draft for centers has been one of the best it's been in a while. I know, like, the 2024 draft as a whole doesn't hold up to some of the other drafts, but you have Sarr, they couldn't draft. You have Clingan, who they could have drafted. You have Kaloware, who they could have drafted. You have Zach Edey, who they could have drafted. Those three guys, I think, would just be perfect here in Charlotte right now. They were never taking Kaloware at number 6. Edey would have been a very big shocker at number 6 on draft night, but I would have liked it a little bit more than Salon. Donovan Clingan, though, was the pick in hindsight, but that's all 2020 at this point. You can't change the past. So we'll see where this team heads going forward. Like I said, I think there's a lot of season left. We're going to figure out, can we believe in Brandon Miller? I mean, this team is 6-15. If I pull up kind of just the Eastern Conference right now, they're about 3.5 games out of the 10th seed, so one little run, then that can actually go their way moving forward. I mean, their upcoming schedule, is it promising? The Knicks on the other end of a back-to-back, that could be a little bit of an upset for them. They're on the road against Toronto. Denver probably lost. Chicago could be a win. They just beat them. Cleveland in Cleveland will probably be a loss. Atlanta at home probably going to be a loss. Detroit on the road could be a loss. Cleveland on the road could be a loss. So, yeah, they really need to beat, I think, one of New York and Toronto, and then hopefully beat Chicago, because their next win might not come until December 23rd against the Washington Wizards. It's just, yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Charlotte Hornets. Let me know if you kind of enjoyed the style of this video as well. This maybe is a little bit more laid back, a little bit more of me just kind of yapping on literally like a couch chair. Just kind of giving my thoughts and opinions on this team going forward. I think I like to do these team breakdowns as well, because I think it's a really good like temperature check for me, like where they are right now. And I love to know from like the fan base of like Hornets fans. Let me know what you guys think about this team going forward. I want to see Brandon Miller healthy. I know that might be a pipe dream at this point. I want to see LaMelo Ball more efficient. I want to see as much as I can out of McNeely and Salon, because this team, I think, has 2 first-round picks as well in the 2026 draft. So we're going to have 2 new young faces. Maybe they're a team that takes on a bad contract, and they can get an additional first-round pick as well. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to do more of these, and I want to do, I think, a player breakdown, or a player, like, just kind of yap around soon, because I've been doing some of those, like, trade things and the Bleacher Report things, and I'm cool mixing those in, but I want to talk about, like, what's going on in the landscape as well, and formulating my opinions and my takes on these teams. So, yeah, hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Hornets fans, let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.